Welcome to Southern Strike 4, and thanks for tuning in. Today we are going to be discussing several different ways you can do recon, and we're also going to look at several different ways you can take advantage of that recon and try to fit your personnel to exploit matchups. So let's go ahead and dive into our first recon strategy. In this example right here, we are going to take a look at a way you can use smoke grenades and combine that with infantry and artillery to clear out a heavily fortified defensive position. In this mission right here, our first objective is to cross the bridge and clear out a heavily fortified enemy defensive position. What we're going to do, of course, is set up our artillery. We're moving them toward the bridge right here, and we're taking out all our infantry right here. Now, one of the key things we've done is we have added smoke grenades. That's something you're going to want to use your skill points for, because they don't automatically come with smoke grenades in this mission. So we've got smoke grenades equipped. Our plan here is to take the infantry and send them across the bridge. But if we do that, that's kind of a suicide mission. We need to protect our infantry by using smoke grenades, which we're going to start throwing right there. And you got to be quick about it. You may actually want to consider hitting the pause button, which we did not do right here, but we got the smoke grenades, we've got the infantry. But what's really important here, what leads to our success here in this objective, is that we've got it backed by heavy artillery on the other side of the bridge, which you can't see, but it's firing away. And we're able to take possession. I don't even think we took a casualty here. So we're able to successfully complete this objective, and it's very important that you don't take casualties, especially early in a mission, because if you do that, you're almost doomed to failure and repeating the mission. So here we get off to a really good start, and of course we are able to capture 3 pieces of equipment. Now you may want to consider either using riflemen or potentially taking crew members out of your tanks and stuff, and using those to take over this equipment via tanks and heavy artillery. You don't want to use your anti-tank soldiers or your valuable soldiers to take control of the artillery, especially like medics and stuff like that, because they have a lot of value in other spots. In this segment right here, we are going to take a look at how you can do some air reconnaissance, as well as how you can use it to exploit what matchups you may, given the different personnel types you may have and that your opponent may have. In this spot right here, we are given an objective to pretty much get recon on this right here. Now, if you'll notice on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, I'm going to highlight it right there. We have this aerial recon available. If you can see, I'm zoomed in right there. Okay. To activate that, and this is not going to be available in every mission, but it's a pretty cool feature. What you're going to do is you're going to make sure that do not have any of the troops selected, and you're simply going to hold down the R2 button. If you have a troop selected, it's not going to show up. And if you'll notice in the very top, right there, it says Recon. We're going to hold the left analog stick up there and then release it, and then you get a giant circle. We're going to go there, we're going to hit X to execute, and then we're going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to hold down R1 and then push in R3. We'll zoom out.
Hurry up!
And now we're going to get some recon, and we'll see what we have here. And depending on how the recon turns out, we'll look at if there's a way we can exploit a specific matchup or not.
Enemy!
Okay, we got recon here. If you'll notice, there's a few small machine gunner. Let's see what we have. Submachine gunner, rifleman. The biggest problem we have right here is this anti-tank gun. The reason why it's a problem is, well, we have a few tanks, and we'd like to protect those. So the best matchup, in my opinion, against that right now would be mortars that are out of range. I've got some mortars stacked over here. I'm going to hold down X and push the left analog stick to the left, and then select those troops right there. We got 3 mortars, an officer, and a couple riflemen. What we're going to do is we are going to simply attack the ground. We should have enough range to hit this target once we get close enough. So we're going to hit X to execute, and we'll see how this plays out. We're going to try to use the brush cover to our advantage. And again, we're just doing that with the mortars here. Alright, we're out of range. And we should be able to take them out. And then what we're going to do next is, after this is taken out, we're going to send the tanks in. So, control pad 1, and we're going to send the tanks in right there. Okay.
Enemy sighted.
We've taken them out, and oh, timeout here. What we're going to do is we're going to let the mortars choose where they want to fire. So, in this case right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down X, and oops, wrong button. We're going to hold down X and then select these mortars, yes, and then what we're going to do is just simply command them to go right there, and then we're going to take the rest of our troops and we should be able to send them in. I prefer in this spot to go to houses.
Infantry reporting for duty.
Just to give them some type of cover and stuff
Infantry
like that. So we're
reporting
going
for
to send
duty.
them into... yeah, we're just going to take possession of a few houses here.
Ready, sir.
And
Any
then,
orders,
of
sir?
course, we're sending the tanks in, obviously. And hopefully the mortars will take care of the problem. We'll see how this plays out here.
Come on.
You can always adjust your strategy as you play forward. Uh-oh, they know where we're at. Okay, that's not good. Our mortars are well covered, I think. That's good, and we've got the tanks back up here. And of course, we're taking possession of some of these houses here, so we should have a decently defended position. The tanks are not vulnerable to the spot it's here. But the basic premise of this right here, and isn't so much, you know, blah, 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 blah. What we did in this spot is we took advantage of recon, and we used that recon to exploit some matchups. And yeah, that was we were able to take possession of the town here, or at least temporary possession of the town, and not take any major casualties there. So that's one example of how you can do that. In this example right here, we're going to take a look at how you can use a light or quick vehicle, such as a light armored truck, to do recon. We're going to back it, of course, with some artillery, but unfortunately we find out that our artillery is not enough to get the job done in this situation right here, so we're going to have to augment that with maybe some heavy tanks and some infantry, in particularly infantry with anti-tank weapons. Now the key thing is you're going to want to protect those infantry with anti-tank weapons, or they'll get blown out of the water. So in this case, we're going to use smoke grenades and, of course, the cover of brush. This picture right here gives us an idea of what we are going to see in the recon going forward. That's the position we're attacking here, and we're going to, of course, use this armored personnel carrier and basically sacrifice it here. Now, the key thing in this command here is we're going to use the circle button to make it go to that spot. We don't want it to stop. We want it to go through, and we're going to use, of course, artillery, and we're going to move the tanks into position to try to pick off some stuff. And, of course, we're going to use our troops as well. In particular, we want to protect the troops that have anti-tank stuff. So again, we're going to use grenades here. Now, you may want to also consider hitting the pause button at some point. If you go too fast, you can get chewed up in real time, as this is a pretty cool real-time game. But as always, take advantage of the pause button here, as we're doing right here. And we're going to use our medic kit to revive all of these soldiers from the down tank here. Again, we're going to try to minimize casualties here, but this position is so big that you can't really go through it with zero casualties. You just got to think strategically and in terms of getting matchups to your favor. Again, using the smoke grenades and combining rifled soldiers with soldiers with anti-tank stuff. Again, we're trying to get them in position here. And as we push forward, we've got it backed with artillery. Not a ton of artillery here. We'd like to have more, obviously, but this should be enough to get the job done in the spot right here, as we manage to push our way through and take out pretty strong enemy position right there without taking a ton of casualties, and that's of course what you want to do in this game.
Find another way to cross that river.
So that is an example of how you can use an armored vehicle, which is quick for recon. Obviously, there's pros and cons to it. If you're up against something this heavy, it's just going to get blown out of the water. But that being said, if you're up against a heavy defensive position, it's going to be tough to break through that without taking some casualties at some point. You just want to be smart in how you try to exploit matchups, of course. For optimal results with this method, you're going to probably want to use this in areas where there's just light infantry and you can get away quickly or engage the infantry with a defensive position being the armored car. In this segment right here, we are going to take a look at how you can use scouts to uncover information on enemy positions. Here we got a scout hidden away right there. And what we're going to try to do is figure out what the enemy has, and then we can take advantage of that, bring in some heavy artillery, and put together a strategy for taking out that position or minimizing our casualties. Again, the best scouts you're going to want are probably the ones with binoculars. Those are referred to as officers. You can also get snipers. They're pretty good as well. Let's take a look at an example of how you can use both of those right here. In this example right here, we have a sniper, and we also have an officer. We are going to have both work in tandem to do a little spying. There's a zoom in there. I got to get a little view. These are the troops we have right here to play with. What we're going to do is we're going to spy on this area right here by sending both the officer and the sniper into that area, and then once we identify what the enemy has, we're going to try to use the personnel we have to our advantage. So let's go ahead and get started here. What you're going to want to do is select one of the officers or the sniper by just hitting X on them, and then what you're going to do is go ahead and hold down that R2 button, and once you have it held down, you're going to be looking to the left of the screen, and what you're going to want to do is use the control pad to select crouch and return fire. That way you're not going to engage with troops unless you're fired upon, because what you want to do is be hidden. And try to remember that the main goal of this process is to uncover enemy troops without being seen. So you want to be quiet, stealthy, and then, of course, you're going to bring in your heavy artillery. Now, this process is going to take a little bit of time. So what we're going to do is speed this up a little bit to where we have the targets identified. Now that we have the enemy position identified, we notice there is an anti-tank cannon that has been fortified. So all we need to do basically here is flank it. We're using self-propelled guns and firing long range where they can't fire back at us because the anti-tank gun is pointing in the wrong direction, obviously, and we're able to take that out. Now the next thing you want to do is figure out, okay, what can we hit early without taking any big hits? And the next item on this list, of course, is the machine gun nest. Again, what you do is you hold down R2 and then you pull the left analog stick to the top to select the target. You'll see right here we're going to do the same thing with this anti-tank gun right here. We're going to attack ground, and we're going to fire away right there. And it appears this position is getting hit pretty hard. So we look like we're in good shape. Although one of the things about this game is you want to be prepared, because you never know what can happen here. We're going to put this other gun on the machine gun nest, try to take that out there. So here we are. We're hammering away at our opponent, and we're not taking any casualties. We've got the long-range weapons here. We're going to try to get these all together in one big group here. And one of the things we're going to want to do, of course, is try to finish off this machine gun nest. We don't want it to take out our scout that's hidden away in the field right there. As you can barely see, we're going to attack ground right there. And we just start to fire it away. And almost got it, almost got it. All right, let's make sure. Oh, we got a sniper that's hurt. We're going to go ahead and use first aid on him. Now, this next part right here, we're going to look at in slow motion because it's easy to miss. Long story short, as we're destroying this machine gun nest, our enemy sends out a flare. And that has some implications for us. Not necessarily good ones either. In short, what that flare means is that our enemy is calling for backup. As you can see, the 2 tanks coming at us at the top right-hand corner of the screen. What this means is we need to have our medium tanks out in front to protect our artillery. We don't want our artillery going head-to-head with these tanks. That'll be a bad matchup for us. So we're going to have to be smart. We're going to have to move all our tanks and troops in front of them. We're going to actually move some troops into cover. And the plan in cover is going to be to use smoke grenades to hide our troops and use some anti-tank weapons as well. Otherwise, our troops are pretty much sitting ducks here too. So going to be pausing this a lot here to try to take advantage of the situation. Okay. We've got our troops there, and what we're going to do is use the smoke grenade, fire a couple of them there, and we're going to have our troops in the smoke grenade area, and then the plan is to fire further grenades on the tanks from a hidden position. Okay, I'm going to throw some grenades at these tanks here. And all you need to do, of course, is you select the troops, you hold down R2, and then you push whatever you need to throw the grenade. Looks like we have another troop down there. These fights can get out of hand pretty quickly, but we were fortunately able to take care of the problem right there, as well as recover the troop. And once we take out this nest right here, we will have completed the objective without taking any major casualties. That could have been bad, but we were able to handle it very good. As you can see, our scout is nice and safe. As far as the other one has been revived by a medic as well. One of the cool things about Sergeant Strike 4 is you can choose a variety of different doctrines, but sometimes that means you're not going to have an officer or a sniper to do scouting. In this case, we have a rifleman from the infantry we're going to use to do scouting right here. So let's go ahead and zoom out. And what we're trying to do is identify this position in the circle, the blue circle at the top left-hand corner of the screen. We're going to send our scout out, and of course we're going to set out return fire and lay down. And the goal, of course, is to identify the enemy position. So we're going to send him out to about right there. And then the plan this time is our personnel, we don't have any heavy artillery. What we do have is mortars. Okay? So we've identified the position right here. And what we're going to do is use our mortars to attack the ground. There we go. And we're going to attack this built-in, let's see, this built-in position right here. This tank is covered. We're going to fire a bunch of mortars at it. Now we want to be careful. So what we've done is we've brought in a row of tanks. As you can see, we did get an early advantage on that, but we're in trouble here. So now we've got to hit Pauls, and we've got to protect our tanks as they're going after us. The best thing to use here, in my opinion, is smoke grenades. And there's no smoke grenades in this house right here that's defended, so we're going to use the tank. Let's see, we're going to use the smoke discharge on that right there. Okay, let's unpause it in just a minute here. Going to use smoke discharge, unpause it. Now our tanks are well disguised, and we can fire and do some damage on our opponents. And the good thing for us is, again, our tanks are disguised. Now, these smoke grenades only last for, maybe 10 to 15 seconds. So you're going to want to constantly keep using smoke discharge till you run out. Now, fortunately, we have a big combination of smoke discharges from the tanks and the tower to the right. We're going to use the smoke discharge here. And you want to be smart. If you don't use it, you can take a lot of fire. So you want to, use these things, spread these things out as much as you can. Keep your position hidden. And yeah, we're going to use a bunch of smoke grenades here to make a long story short. So, of course, we're going to need to constantly use the smoke grenades, but we have to because we want to protect our mortars. Now, of course, this is going to be a long, drawn-out process, so we're fast-forwarding this a little bit so we can get to the part, just so you get the point of what you need to do. We don't need to make this a super long segment here. So, the important part to take away here is we used our scout, we identified the enemy position, and we hit them as hard and as smart as we could, and we were not overwhelmed in this spot. And of course, that is going to wrap this up. I'm signing out. I would like to thank you for watching and wish you good luck. Now, if you like this sort of thing, you may want to consider looking on this channel. There is a playlist called Sudden Strike 4, I believe, where you can check out all kinds of different tips and strategies and stuff like that for the game. Definitely worth checking out. Once again, I'd like to thank you for watching and wish you good luck.